What up? Welcome to the Two Goat Show. We're your hosts, Miriah and Steph. Steph, happy Thursday. How you doing?
I am good aside from the mic issues earlier, but it's all good. We're up and running now.
Yep. We're here. Have no fear. Chat, what's up? Happy Thursday. Hope everybody is doing great. Shout out to those that I already see going to both chats and doing the Lord's work there, Don and Throwback say, please don't forget to subscribe, like both channels, Steph 49K and 49 Faithfully. We truly appreciate it. I hope everybody is doing great today. So we had some content that luckily just got released right before we went live. We kind of got a little teaser to it last night. And that was, a look, well, from Arik Armstead's point of view, a look behind the scenes kind of to, what went down, how it went down. He says he feels extremely disrespected by the 49ers offer. We found out what that offer was today, which was shocking to say the least. I was very shocked to hear the number that Arik says the 49ers offered him. And that number is $6 million for 1 year with things in it that, what's the word? Incentives in it that go up to 8 million. So he had the opportunity to earn 8 million, obviously, probably, if he stayed healthy all season, per game bonus or whatnot, who knows, but 6 million. That is quite a pay cut from the 20 something million that he was expecting to earn. He went in and talked about how after the Super Bowl and everything, he was expecting the 49ers to come to him and to either be extended or to restructure his contract, because he said, he knew what position that the team was in. He knew his cap number was high. He talked about how, obviously there's other players on this team that need to get paid. And like, he understood the situation and was open to a contract extension or restructure to be able to make another run at the Super Bowl. However, obviously, when the 49ers came in with that offer, he says that he pretty much just had to bet on himself. He said that, at one point he was questioning himself. Like, am I not really that dude? Like, am I not worth more than $6 million from the team that I pretty much have given everything of my career up until this point, So it was a very, like, I just finished it prior to, us going live, the hour episode. And he talks about a lot of stuff in there. Did you get a chance to listen to it, or?
No, and I probably won't. But I got the cliff notes from online, of course.
What are
So
your thoughts from what you've heard? What are your thoughts on the 6 million, with a chance at 8 million? Were you surprised when you heard those numbers?
definitely not surprised, because I think the reports we had heard while we didn't have the number was that it was significant pay cut, right, or something along those lines is the word they used. So I figured it was going to be a pretty big ask from them. And obviously, given the fact that we knew that Arik Armstead didn't take that offer, obviously it's because he wasn't happy with it. If he was happy with the offer, he would have stayed, or they would have, negotiated something and he'd still be a Niner. And so obviously, I kind of just figured, it was probably going to be something dramatic. And so, that's kind of what we saw. And what he's kind of describing. I didn't think that would be as far as, 6 million. That's a $12 million pay cut. That is very significant. So I guess I was a little surprised at the number, but then again, when you think about where the 49ers are at with everything, when you think about, despite everything Arik Armstead has done, he's been hurt quite a bit. and we don't expect that to get better. Like
Right.
he's dealing with the plantar fasciitis, that has now been an issue for the past 2 seasons. You don't really expect that to improve, right? Like that's just going to continue to be something he's going to deal with in his career, and who knows, I would even say maybe it worsens as he gets older. So I think from the 49ers standpoint, it made sense to them of what they were expecting from Arik Armstead going
Mhm.
forward. And so, I think it was totally fair for Arik to feel disrespected by it. Like I even said that from the beginning. Like he had every right to go out and look for more money elsewhere. And I support him in that. It sounds like John Lynch supported him in that. The team probably wasn't even surprised by it. It was more like, we're gonna offer this, take it or leave it, because it's all we could afford. It's all we're willing to pay you. Um, and if not, we're okay moving off of you, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how it played out. So um I'm just happy for Arik that he was able to find a great deal with the Jags, and I'm sure he's going to be happy with that, feel valued. And so yeah, I mean, unfortunate, but it's the reality of where the 49ers are at the end of the day. They're running the business here, and
Right.
they got the salary cap to deal with. So I think not surprising, but it's just the reality.
Ty says some of the funniest shit, I swear. He says, "Gotta protect the binkies." Like, just a grown man saying, "Gotta protect the binkies," ladies and gentlemen. But, nobody's talking shit about Ty. They're not putting crazy stuff online saying he's not gonna be a good quarterback and stuff. Um, some other little couple things that Arik had talked about, that I kind of took notes on and wrote. One of the things he obviously touched on, and he brought it up a lot throughout the interview. He kept going back to, well, it was known that I had a torn meniscus in week 13. Well, it was known that I had a torn meniscus in week 13, and I came back to help my team get to the Super Bowl and had one of the best games of my career in the Super Bowl. And pretty much how he said that as soon as he got injured, that week in the regular season, that he knew, like, this is going to affect things. Like, he's like, that wasn't the plan going into the season. Obviously, he knew what was on the line with his cap hit, and knew that once he got injured, that the 49ers were going to then use that against him. Which is, you have to know that, right? Like we just talked, the biggest ability is availability. And you continue to hear that year after year after year. So it's like, you can't expect for the 49ers, like he kept like making it seem like, oh, well, I've been there 9 years. So I was expecting, once I shown them that, oh, I was supposed to have surgery, but I put that aside and worked. Like he talked about how he hired extra guys to get his body right so that he was able to play in the Super Bowl, like put so much in, like that he was expecting that to erase that he missed, weeks 14 through whatever, yada, yada. And it's just like I know, he talked about his relationship with Jed and Jed's family, and obviously with Kyle, and how he knows that's so rare. And it's just like, maybe he was thinking that since he had those relationships with them, that things would be different. And it's like, I know in a perfect world, yeah, you would hope things go that way, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's a freaking business. Like, how many times do we hear that, and it's just like you feel bad for the guy, but it's at the same time, like you didn't know. Okay, you were like, he talked about, like, I was so confused. I didn't know if other teams were going to value me the same way that the 49ers were, so, but hey, Bucky, we know he does crazy shit. So he loves paying people and betting on people with injuries, and it fit right in line. So yeah, hats off to Arik. He bet on himself. He got paid way more than the 49ers $6 million offer, $8 million offer, So yeah, hats off to him. He talked about obviously he thanked the faithful. He said that he's been a Niner for a third of his life. So he said you can't just remove 9 years. He's like, I'm always going to be a Niner. And when he ended the faithful segment, he said, he's like, you never know, he's like, you never know what the future holds, right? So do you think that regardless how this next, I think he signed a 4-year deal with Jacksonville, who knows if he even lasts that long till he retires? Like, I hope he has great health, but like you said, the thing that he has, obviously he got surgery already for the torn meniscus, he said, but the plantar fasciitis, whatever it is with his foot, that's not getting better. That doesn't go away, right? So do you think, let's say, whether he plays another year, 2 years, 3 years, if he plays out his whole contract with Jacksonville, do you see him coming back and retiring a 49er?
Possibly. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. But I don't know. I just feel like just based on this happening, he might feel even differently. In 4 years, and I'd probably say it's unlikely. But like he said, you never know, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, he wasn't trying to be like trash. Like, you could tell, like, his pride had been hurt. Like, he said he was highly disrespected. But he started that whole segment saying, like, what was the word he used? He said he has no animosity towards Kyle, towards John, towards the York's family, and then went into that. And then when he went into think like all the coaches and all the staff, like he went through the kitchen staff, the guys that clean, like everybody from top to bottom. He named people by names. He named, just groups of people. And he went and he talked about Kyle and how he was a great head coach. Obviously, he talked about Chris Kasarik, that he was the best, coach that he's ever had. Talked about how he changed his life. We see all, like, the last how many years, these guys that come in and into the team and play for the D-line on 1-year deals. Chris Kasarik gets them a payday somewhere else, right? And we see that, but to hear like one of our guys that's been on this team the whole time talk about Chris Kasarik, like, it was just pretty cool to have him like go into depth about the things that Kasarik has done, for his career and stuff. So yeah, it was cool to hear. Like you said, we wish him nothing but the best. Hopefully real quick, one more thing. When he said that he couldn't accept the 49ers deal for 2 reasons. One of those reasons, he said that he couldn't accept that deal and live with himself. He couldn't accept that deal and live with himself, walking back through those doors of that building, knowing pretty much like I didn't even respect myself enough to know that I was worth more than $6 million. Right. And the number 2 reason, which I found this was very interesting and, thoughtful from looking out for the guys, throughout the rest of the league, said, if I know the type of player I am and I accept this type of deal, what does that do for the guys in my position around the league? He's like, because then people can say, oh, well, Arik Armstead is this type of player and he's only getting paid this amount. Right. So why would you think that you deserve to get paid yada, yada, yada amount? No, you should get paid $4 million because you're that much less of a player than Arik Armstead and he's getting paid $6 million, and he's like, I just couldn't. He's like, that disrupts the whole thing that us players work for our entire careers, and yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting that he said that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he thinks about that because, yeah, I mean, every time like a player of a certain caliber accepts a certain amount of money, whether it's a low amount, whether it's a high amount, it does have implications on the market. like those players kind of set the market, right? And so for him to acknowledge that and in a way like looking out for other players who may, come to be in the same position, like, yeah, he is helping them out by saying, no, this is how much we're going to make. It just reminds me of a couple years ago when Christian Kirk got a huge deal from the
Mm-hmm.
Jags. Wasn't it the Jags? Yeah, it was
Yes.
the
Yep.
the Jags just be paying everyone.
And
Yeah.
everybody is so pissed.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone was pissed, but it was mostly like the owners and or like the teams, right? Like front
Yes.
offices were mad because now
Yep.
it meant, damn, well now we got to pay these guys that much too. So
It
yeah,
was
and,
like
and
the
players
opposite
deserve.
direction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And players deserve to get, however much they can get like in their careers, right? They should fight for every dollar. They are the NFL,
Yeah.
collectively. And so yeah, like you said, it could go both ways. And so as a player and him looking out for other guys, making sure it goes the right way, right?
Right.
Wanting to get more money, I think it's good. Like, and that's just the kind of guy that Arik is. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's selfless,
Right.
and at the same time looking out for himself. And I think that's a great thing for him and great for any other player who's going to be in a similar situation.
Yeah. Like Tanya had mentioned, Stay Faithful brings up, like that too, like he has to account that you're taking that 6 million in California where you're
Yeah.
losing half of it to taxes, right? Like Florida, I don't think, do they have?
No state
No.
income
So
tax.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
so that's a hell of a deal for him too on that aspect.
yeah.
All this 9 years of his career, he's paid so much. Like we know, remember he went and showed his check stub and shit talking about the taxes
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So we
I'm
know how much goes to taxes. So
yeah.
wow,
I'm looking
that's a
forward
huge
to
payday. Yeah.
his TikToks this season when he shows us how much he makes
He's
now.
like, screw you, California. Look at this.
We're all gonna be wanting to move to Florida.
um, I have no state income tax here either. So just
Oh,
just so
oh,
you
good for
guys
you.
know, but we're full already. Half of California already moved here, so we're already full. Thanks. Go to Florida. Let's talk about another guy that was talked about this week getting a payday soon. No, not Brandon Ayuk. Brock Purdy. Jed York at the owners meeting. Let me bring up the exact thing so I'm not just making up stuff. I stole this as I'm looking for it. I stole this picture from Jason Aponte today. I'm going to start responding to Twitter to everybody with this picture right here. So shout out to Aponte. So Jed was talking about, got into Garoppolo's contract and how that had set the quarterback market for all of a couple hours and, all this, and went in to say that Brock Purdy, he says, it's a good problem when your quarterback is one of the highest paid guys on your team and in the league. It's what the market is. Brock Purdy is going to ask for something that no one has ever asked for before. I don't know how many players are making over $40 million a year as a quarterback right now. Now, we know, obviously, it's been well documented that Brock Purdy makes like peanuts compared to the rest of the starting quarterbacks, right? Like being the last pick of the draft, like he didn't get no first round pick kind of money where they're, getting millions of dollars. He too lives in California, during the season and has to go through all that still on his little peanuts. So, like, we're knowing that he's going to have to get paid, right? I think a lot of people seemed, from the responses I saw online after these quotes started circulating in the videos of Jed talking, a lot of people were very surprised by those numbers. And I saw too that a lot of people, I saw this a lot of times, that Brock Purdy is a man of God. He's a very nice guy. He's not going to want that type of money from the 49ers. Okay. I'm not going to take care of my family because I'm a man of God and I've been pretty much working for free for the 49ers for the last 4 years. And, like funny things being said about there. Okay, but let me ask you this. If we see, because, this is Brock Purdy's first full off season as a starting 49ers quarterback. Okay. We know his first year, he came in as the quarterback 3 as a rookie, fighting for his life just to, keep his head above water pretty much. He's not going through anything with the starters and training camp or none of that. Right. Obviously his second year, last year he's rehabbing, went through that. So I don't know, I won't speak for you, but I'm expecting with him healthy, full off season, like Kyle mentioned, he's a married man now, so he's happy at home. I'm expecting him to be a better quarterback for us this season than what we have seen from him the last 2 years. As I do with any growing player in the league, I expect for them to continue to get better, right? Obviously, unless they hit their ceiling, but that's a different situation. If we see Purdy come in this season and he himself has a better season, number-wise, touchdowns, yards, interceptions better, do you think where we get to in the playoffs, whether, God forbid, I hope this don't happen, but a first round exit all the way up to winning the Super Bowl? Do you think, if we were first round, second round, third round, lose the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, any of that will matter on how much Brock Purdy gets paid? And what are you expecting? Now that you saw what Jed said and everything, like, what are you expecting Brock Purdy's payday to look like?
I mean, that's hard to answer now, right? Because it's going to be a couple years till that happens. So,
Well, really, after next season, they need to pay him or else.
You're saying after 2024?
Yeah.
Even then, there's still going to be other quarterbacks who probably get deals before then. So that sets the market all over again. So it's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, assuming that Brock Purdy improves this season, which I think like we're all kind of expecting, I would expect, that he would reset the market because that's just kind of how the quarterback market is right now. Like if you're even like, let's say Dak Prescott, right? Like there's talk about Dak Prescott. If he got a deal, let's just say hypothetically, it doesn't seem like the Cowboys are like trying to give him a deal, but let's just hypothetically say he got paid right now, he would become the highest paid quarterback right now. Obviously he's not the best quarterback in the league, but he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So the next time any one of the better quarterbacks in the league get paid, they're going to reset the market and so on and so forth. Like the next guy is going to continue to raise that bar. So Brock Purdy, along with that, is going to be the next man up in that, and he's going to reset the market. So when his time comes, he is going to be the highest paid quarterback until the next quarterback after Brock Purdy, who is one of the better guys, and then it happens all over again. And it's actually funny you bring up the people who think, oh, because Purdy's a man of God, like he's not gonna ask for a lot.
Much. I couldn't believe it.
I have said something along those lines. I haven't said like, here's my thought. The dude is so humble, right? He's so incredibly humble. I do think I'm not saying he's gonna like say yes to the lowest offer he gets. Like obviously, like him and his agent are gonna work towards, getting him what they think is fair. But I also don't think he's going to be on the spectrum of Nick Bosa, where like he's holding out until he gets like X amount, right? Like I don't see him being on that extreme either. So I think he's going to get what he thinks is a fair amount. And I don't think that amount is probably going to be as high as like some other quarterbacks would probably fight for. And maybe rightfully so. And I also think I could see him taking the Tom Brady route, that when Tom Brady, like when it came down to it, the dude was taking like pay cuts because
But
like
you have to remember, Tom Brady's wife was making more money than
that's
any
true.
other
I mean,
female model in the world.
that's
Purdy don't
that's
have that.
true as well. But I'm pretty, again, they're very humble people. I'm pretty sure whatever amount he's gonna be making is enough to make a living in the Bay Area. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I understand he could probably be making more, but the reason I think that is only because he's a different kind of humble. He's like humble because literally any time anyone talks about how good he is or he gets asked about how good he is, he talks about his teammates. He talks about, I can't do it without those guys. Tom Brady, it's fair, Ty. It's fair to say that Tom Brady, sure, he was a second income in his household at that time. But he could have very well probably been the main person bringing in the dough. But, anyway, yeah, I just feel like he also knows that what he's been able to accomplish to this point, I think, and maybe he's just being humble to the media and he doesn't actually think this, but I kind of feel like he does. Like he needs those guys, he needs his weapons to be able to do what he does.
Right.
So again, I'm not saying he's going to take a lowball offer. I'm just saying like he's going to get what he thinks is fair, and that's going to be the end of it. Like I don't think he's going to put the team in a position of, damn, like we have to get rid of everyone to pay this guy. Like that, I just don't see that. But that being said, I do think when his time comes, he will be the highest paid quarterback in that time.
This is hilarious. Anyone got Giselle's phone number? I need to say hello. Can you call and say hello for all of us? Since she's not with Tom anymore. Maybe she got some millions to throw around.
she's off the market already, man, I think.
Probably. I think she was probably off the market before she even went back onto the market. So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, because say what you want about, Garoppolo and that whole situation. I think a lot of fans were pretty, and yeah, he was only the highest paid quarterback, for however a couple hours, couple days, whatever it was. And quickly other quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks passed him over. I think still fans were pretty upset, maybe not by the size of his contract, but because the 49ers paid him before even knowing what he was. Like you paid him, and I understand, yeah, your backs were up against the wall, you needed a quarterback, you had to make a decision, but tag him, do whatever you got to do. Don't hand him out, make him the highest paid quarterback, even if it's for a freaking 20 minutes without even knowing who he was. And a lot of fans seem to, that was where they came, to start Jimmy Garoppolo gripes. Where I feel that, yeah, if and when the time comes and Brock has a great season this next season, let's hope he does, right? That's what we want. Then yeah, pay him what you need to pay him, right? But I'm so glad that we have this next season, plus if they need to be able to make sure, okay, this wasn't just a fluke. This wasn't just a 2-year thing. Like Brock Purdy is who we think Brock Purdy is, and he's going to continue to lead this team and keep getting us into the postseason and keep doing what he needs to do from the quarterback position. And now we can make him the highest paid quarterback or in the ballpark, right? but at least we have the time now before they have to just make that decision. And we made I don't know. That's what I keep coming back to, is like with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, is that we had to pay him all that money, and then he ended up not being who anybody thought he was going to be, whether that was because of injury, because of porn stars, because of whoever it was. We have that time to see, and hopefully Purdy is MVP Purdy and continues to be him. And yeah, pay him, but just make sure you pay Brandon Ayuk first.
Brandon's gonna get his for sure.
Yeah, maybe not from the 49ers though.
He will. You gotta trust the process, Miriah. Come on. Trust the process.
Any comments, whether it's about Brandon Ayuk, anything else that was talked about, from Jed, from Kyle, from John Lynch, that stood out that you want to talk about?
I mean, nothing was like super surprising or notable. I think like one of the bigger things that maybe stood out to me was Kyle talking about Brandon Staley and I guess like us gaining some clarity on what his role is going to be with the 49ers specifically. It feels like he's going to help a lot with game planning, which a lot of us figured already. And in addition to that, it seems like he's already helping out with free agency and making personnel decisions, which I think like we kind of assumed, because when we saw some of the signings in free agency, we're like, like he's worked with Staley before, he must have some hand in who they're picking here. Wow, he must have more involvement than maybe we thought he would. And then also it seems like even in the draft, like he's having a hand in that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of an influence he has. Like I said, it seems like there's a fair amount of it so far. And it seems like Kyle trusts him, which I think is good, because trust is having someone in the building and there not being any issues or drama. And if there's trust, that's good, right? So yeah, and I trust Kyle's judgment. So if he trusts him, then I think it'll hopefully go well. And also the things he said about Nick Sorensen, I think gave me more confidence in that hiring as well, that he feels like he's more than ready right now to be that guy. And also, as we figure, having Staley in the building to help with some of the other things that maybe Sorensen hasn't done before, like the game planning aspect of it all, I think is only gonna help and make the defense stronger,
Right. Yeah, I'm glad that Sorensen, has him. Like, I didn't want Staley as our DC, but as, in that role that it sounds like he's going to be, like, it sounds, like that's a good role for him. And, that's something that I appreciate about Jed, is because although, there's a salary cap on obviously the players, and, they have to do things a certain way when it comes to that. He never seems like he's been cheap at all when it comes to allowing Kyle to bring in whatever staff he needs to bring in. Like, we're to the point, where Kyle's just hiring people at made up spots. Like, they don't even have a position yet, like, we don't know what you're going to be yet, but yeah, we're hiring you, we're paying you. We'll figure it out as we go. Right. Like, and that money has to come directly from Jed, like, if you have a cheap owner, you're not getting all these extra, backup freaking head coach and shit that you don't need. And like you said, like, I think he will come and play a crucial part in Sorensen's development into that DC position, having somebody with that experience that's not only been a DC before but been a head coach. And I love that Kyle laid it out. Like, Sorensen will call plays, that's his job. But, Staley will help be a big part of game planning. And that made me as a fan feel a lot more comfortable with that whole Brandon Staley Sorensen situation. So I really, let's hope that, it goes back better than the last experience. And that's pretty much why I didn't want us to hire from without, because I was already so scared from the last person. And so far, so good every time we promote from within. So let's hope that
Yeah.
continues to go that way. I liked also hearing from John Lynch, to hear him go into detail and talk about some of the free agents that we've picked up, and like kind of what their thoughts are, when looking at those players. I thought it was interesting what he said. Let me pull it up right here. Um, about Uder Gross Matos. He said,
Mhm.
I told his agent he handled it like a house in Los Altos, priced it low, then got the whole league interested. He's the guy we had the most people in the league saying, man, we were in on him after we landed him. He's a long, skilled athlete. We've been at our best when we've had a guy like Arden Key, Charles Menahue, who can play outside and slide down inside. It gives you another layer of versatility to your D line. There's going to be some transition for him. So, like, I was like, okay, that's to hear that he's not just some, maybe we didn't know him as a big name, guy, but he's not just some no name guy either, right? Like a lot of the league, was in on him. So that makes me feel a lot better about a player knowing that, okay, it wasn't just like the bottom of the barrel guy that we got, right? Like there's people interested with this guy. Also for cornerback Isaac Edom. John Lynch said, I thought he had a career year. I asked him what clicked because he's been a productive special teams player, and it's never happened for him as consistently on defense as it did last year. He talked about something familiar to me in my career because I didn't become a full-time starter until year 3. Stop doubting yourself and let's go. He was able to find that and have the belief, and it really flourished. Like I thought that was pretty cool, especially for John Lynch to talk about how, like, oh, like when I heard that, it reminded me of myself in my career. And also for Isaac to be that aware with himself, like, dude, like you have the skills to do this. Like you have what it takes to be in this league. Like pretty much get out of your own head and, do it. So I thought that was pretty awesome. The defensive tackle Malik Collins, Lynch said, he's a guy I've studied and admired for a long time because Rod Marinelli, a guy I'm close with, coached him in Dallas. Rod thinks the world of him. Chris obviously has a great voice on anything we do there. We just like the fit, and he plays with tremendous effort. Quick, disruptive, had a really good year last year. I'm excited to land Malik. So, just hearing obviously what John Lynch, he's not obviously going to get up there and say, yeah, this player's shit. And, we got to hope that he does something, right? But, just to hear him go in and actually, into a little depth about, he went through each guy that we've picked up. So I thought that was pretty cool to hear from them. No groundbreaking stuff, right? But what do you think about the rule changes? Any concerns? The kickoff
Um,
rule, the
I'm
drop, hip drop, hip
yeah,
drop
on
tackle.
the return thing, I'm looking forward to, returns being exciting and seeing how that kind of plays out. Since it's going to be new for the entire league, I think there's going to be this weird period of the teams who are good at it right away are going to be able to take advantage of that.
Mhm.
And also, like, I'm interested to see how this new rule maybe impacts their decision on who is the returner, right? Like some people have said, hey, Debo would actually be perfect for this now, less risk of injury. And then all you got to do is pretty much make a row of guys miss,
Yeah,
and you're off to the races.
true.
Maybe even Christian McCaffrey. And then also the hip drop getting banned is BS, I think, because they keep cutting off keep cutting off the legs, so to speak, of defensive players, like how are they supposed to even play defense anymore?
Right.
And it's all in the name of like player safety, which I'm completely on board with. Like I I support anything that helps player safety while also like keeping football, like if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and this is just one of those things that I feel takes us further away from it being football. And so, and the reason I think it's BS is because, you know, the NFL talks about player safety so much while also expanding the season to, you know, 18 games, not giving in to 2 bye weeks. Like, you know, that so far hasn't grew any legs. And then, you know, you also have um turf field still,
Exactly.
which that has been proven to have an impact on injuries as well. You also have games that are going to be played on Christmas, which falls on a Wednesday, and
Two
it just
games this year.
2 games. So the NFL's all backwards with how they speak on player safety. It's very hypocritical, I think. So I don't this is one that I don't really like. And I'll also say, like, the defensive players have mentioned this, like, having to think about how you're doing something
Yep.
that has come natural to you for however long you've been playing the sport adds injury risk for defensive players. But to me, it just seems like the NFL only cares about keeping quarterbacks and offensive players safe. Because I to me, it's like they want more scoring. They
Yep.
want more offense because that is more entertaining,
Exciting. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of it. And we'll see how the NFL or defenses adjust to it. I also think like there's little to no incentive now for players to even want to play defense. Like it's getting to that point where it's like, how am I even supposed to play defense? Like
Yeah.
why should I want to play defense when you know, no one's, no one cares if we get hurt, right? It's all about offense, 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 and every rule favors quarterbacks. Every rule favors offensive players. Um, so player safety, but with some kind of like balance.
Right.
Can we do that? Compromise.
How about player safety, but like actually listen to what the players are telling you, not just follow the
Yeah,
dollar signs and
exactly.
whatever doesn't affect that's what you're willing to do. And like, yeah, the turf, that's a huge thing for me. Like year after year after year after year, the players are telling you get rid of the turf. Right, the NFLPA comes out and says get rid of the turf. The whole soccer
Yep.
teams can come play in your stadium and you're going to put real grass in for them, but you're not going to put it in for your own team that plays there, like every week. Like, yeah, I just, that shit is so freaking frustrating. We got a few who would use, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. So since today was opening day in baseball, are you a Giants fan
God.
or?
I freaking hate baseball.
Well,
Base-
the baseball Grinch here.
so annoying.
Baseball is probably the sport I watch the least. That and basketball, just because the seasons are so long. Regular NBA, that is. WNBA, I watch the whole thing, but
Yeah.
But with it being opening day, I was thinking when I was doing the would use or who would use, I'm like, let's go through and see from the other sports. So Major League Baseball, NBA, we'll do soccer, and one for rugby as well. Which guys, what guy from the team would you take to have play one game, just one game in those sports, But he can't go in there just looking like a total ass, right? Like he has to go in there and actually be able to be competitive with these guys that he's in there playing with. So don't be trying to put no weenie in there to go play rugby, okay? Because it's not going to work. So what guy, if you had to choose from the 49ers, past, present, would you think would be the best Major League Baseball player?
Baseball. I know there's been some guys who have probably like played baseball in college. But I'm like, help me out, chat. I don't know who has played baseball in college, but I definitely want to pick them because they have experience
So what you're
with it.
thinking, if you come up with either with the baseball, the NBA, soccer, and rugby.
And yeah, we can choose older players, right?
Yep.
So yeah, Deion
Past,
Sanders
present.
is a great one from TL. Um we know he could play both, so that's a that's a good one right there.
All right. David says Alex Smith. All right. What about for basketball? Who's going to be able to
Um
last a game in the NBA?
Basketball, there's probably a few who would like be really good, I think. Like in the
I'm going
actual
Jennings.
NBA. They got to be like tall. Jennings.
Curry ain't tall.
No, I know, but
Because I'm trying
like
to think, remember, like you can always hear them playing basketball in the backgrounds when they're doing their locker room, you know?
yeah,
And like I
yeah.
always feel like they always say, like the players that always are winning basketball, and I know they've mentioned Jennings before. Like I was trying to go through the list, like
Okay,
who have I
yeah.
heard say like dominate over there, you know?
Um
This is the one person that doesn't count because he came from rugby, so we can't just put him back to rugby. Like that's way doesn't unfair situation there.
yeah. Let's see.
I could see Kittle, I think too, basketball, I think maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm like, is he good? Would he be good?
Who knows? Um who
I
got
feel
some
like
pop?
Fred. I feel like Fred would be like sneaky good.
Ayuk got the long reach, maybe that'll help.
Yeah, Ayuk I could also see. Like he'd probably be dunking, you know. I could see that.
Soccer.
I think like Kyle Juszczyk would probably be good at soccer. I don't know. I could just picture that.
I was trying to think like what punter or kicker
Oh
would
yeah,
I think
yeah.
could
That's
actually
actually
last, like getting kicked in the shins and
well, we know like those guys in the NFL
oh
aren't
well,
super athletic.
Mitch,
Yeah,
because
I
he's
know, but
tough.
like
He's
he's
out
not
there
super
like
athletic. He just kicks. Like
yeah, but
anytime he's
he'll
not kicking,
tackle,
like
he'll do all that shit. So he
that's
plays
true.
special
He
teams. He
could
ain't scared.
tackle. That's true.
He tries to run the football on his own. He tried to turn into a running back. So
That hey,
Phil
that's
Dawson,
that's not a
awesome
bad one.
Dawson.
That's not
All
a
right,
bad one.
rugby.
I think Kittle would be good at rugby. He has like the grit it takes
Mm,
to play rugby. He'd fit right in. He'd enjoy getting hit and hitting other people, the physicality of it all. So I'm gonna go Kittle with that one.
I like it. I like it. I was trying to go through like the running backs. I'm like, which one, like played with that type of like ping pong where they could just like, bounce off, bounce, 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 bounce.
Yeah.
I'm like going through the list. I'm like, maybe Frank Gore.
Yeah.
But I definitely could see
In his
Kittle.
prime.
Obviously,
In his
Debo
prime.
too. Debo,
Yeah.
just one game. So if he gets hurt, who
It's just
cares? You
one
don't have to
game.
play the
Yeah.
rest of the season. All right. Who would you hire to record a hit song? You just need one hit song, not a whole record.
I'd say Trent Williams. I'd love to hear like
He's gonna
Trent
be
Williams
rapping.
rap for some reason. Like I feel like that
Him and
because
Debo, they could
he
have a
listens to rap.
duet.
He's the first one out with the Yeah, Debo's another good one. He's the first one out with the speakers with Debo. But like I feel like Debo would be a shit rapper. Like I don't know why. Like I feel like he would suck.
He's too
So I
shy.
so I think like Trent would actually spit some bars.
I could see Trent. I feel like he would be a rapper in his like another life. Like his swag, him
Right?
eating all those lockers, like like that stuff, like a normal stuff for football players that you don't usually hear of. Like he's
Right.
living that rapper lavish lifestyle. All
Exactly.
right, who would you partner with on Fear Factor? You gotta find somebody to do it
Mm,
all for me because I'm scared of all that shit.
okay. Fear factors, like, you got the 3 different levels, and the first level is usually something like crazy, like, you gotta jump off a fucking helicopter and then
Mhm.
go back up. You maybe have to know how to swim. Um, and then the second one, you gotta eat something nasty.
So
So,
scorpions or
I don't know, I wanna go Kittle here as well, just because, like, I think he would be down to do all that stuff. Like, I could just, you know, see him eating a bull testicle and he would do it. He would do it.
I'm gonna say I could see every time it comes, and this is so bad. Like every time it comes to eating like weird shit, like I always want to pick Kinlaw
Yeah, right.
just because he's the only one we've seen eat weird shit. So it's like if he
That's
can eat
true.
that, like he shouldn't have
That's
no problem
true.
eating this other shit. I don't know how he is about heights though and all that. So Miss Debbie says
Yeah.
Kinlaw. TL says any of the Midwestern guys.
Mhm. Pretty much. They build different.
All right, so who would you go on? I don't know if this is really the name for it. I put ocean plunge, but I don't know if that's really what it's called. But who would you go on an ocean plunge in Alaska with? So where you got to jump in that freezing ass water, and not be a.
We go Christian McCaffrey. He looks like someone who already does like
He
cold
probably does
plunges.
do it
Yeah. Like
because
he'd
he's
probably
crazy.
be
What
yeah,
other guys are like crazy when it comes to the
like
body
training.
and yeah,
Nick Bosa, but I don't he doesn't strike me as a cold plunge kind of
no,
guy though.
mm-mm.
He likes being warm.
He's
He's
too
like a
weenie for
bear.
that, I think. Kittle. Yeah, Kittle. Anything that's like
You
comes to
see
being
that.
crazy, like, out
Yeah.
there, like you could easily put Kittle in there, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Pick now, who would you pick to be a star in a novella soap opera?
Um I think for this one
Now, this like romantic acting, guys. So don't be picking Kittle.
romantic acting.
Yeah,
Uh
like they have to be in love and all this stuff, smooching and not wrestling.
yeah, not really. Whoever can speak Spanish. I'll say Alfredo Gutierrez because I know he
Well, it could be
speaks
an
Spanish.
English one. I just use that as a name. That's
Oh,
why I put slash soap opera.
like a drama. Who
um,
who else would be
Fred
good at
Fred
acting?
Warner, maybe. He has, that
Oh yeah, Fred
Rico
Warner.
Suave look.
Yeah. I don't know if he'd be good at acting, but I mean,
He probably
he's half
acts every time he
Mexican,
talks to
so
us. Devo.
oh god, he is terrible at acting. Oh my god.
He can't even act in front of the media for 5 minutes.
Oh man.
They say Warner, Warner, Warner. Yeah. And he just has like that, like sexy look to his face. I think like the more chiseled, defined, like handsome, like he
Yeah,
could
like
be.
he's got that suave look,
Mhm.
that would, go well in a novella, I think.
All right, that's the end of those. Um, it's becoming harder and harder for me to come up with these ideas. So anytime y'all want to be sending me
But
DMs,
she says this, but literally every time she comes back with like at least 5 more. So Miriah, like you can come back and we could just do like 1 or 2, but you be going all out and you have a bunch. So I find it hard to
that's how I do it.
believe that this is getting difficult actually.
I don't know how to do 1 or 2 things. If I'm gonna do something, I do it to the fucking extreme. Okay,
Let's go.
you do it right if you're gonna do it. Steph, you have anything else going on this week?
Nothing else going on, just keeping tabs on some of the pro days that are,
Oh
wrapping
yeah, you
up
have
in the
anything to
next week
update
or
us?
2.
Any players that the
Um
49ers have talked to? That was on the list of stuff to tell you about, for you to tell us
yeah,
about,
I
actually.
mean we got a couple more top 30 visits within the last week. Linebacker Trevin Wallace from Kentucky and Oregon defensive lineman Brandon Dorless. Dorless is interesting because he's one of those guys that can play inside or outside on the defensive line.
Okay.
So 49ers would definitely love that versatility. And then as far as pro days go, like I have a whole tab on my draft sheet dedicated to tracking which pro days the 49ers have been at. Today, the Big 12 conference had its first like pro day, which is basically it was like a mini combine. There was like
Okay,
over
all the Big 12
130.
teams.
Yeah, there were over 130 players participating. I know the
Wow.
49ers had one of their national scouts out there. I'll have to keep looking though, because like 130 prospects there, you have to imagine they would need more guys
Right.
on the ground to keep track of all that. So they probably have someone else there. I just haven't seen them. So yeah, I mean, check that out if you guys are interested in pro day attendance. And then as far as the 49ers local pro day, which is about, I think, like 12 or something days away, it's going to be on April 10th. We know of 3 guys who have been invited so far. And, they're lesser known guys, but, they're all from the Bay. So I like to support them for that. So.
I like it. I like it. Make sure if you guys haven't checked out Steph's, off-season Bible she got going on over there, that you guys go to her Twitter X page. She got it pinned right at the top, nice and easy for you, that you guys go through, check it out. Those that are using it, there's always that little donation button on there. You can click that, donate to the girl for her hard work that she's slaving and putting in for you guys. Yeah, it's all appreciated. I know that she would greatly appreciate it. TL has one last question. He's yelling at you in the chat to answer right now. Says, question, Steph, do you think there will be more acting on third?
He's in like third down, maybe.
Maybe when a player gets tackled now.
It definitely opens up that opportunity, right? As far as any time you have rules that are related to defense doing something they're not supposed to, like an offensive player absolutely is going to try to milk that. I mean, we've already seen quarterbacks like sell certain
Balls.
things a little bit more. Hey, we've even seen Christian McCaffrey, try to sell a horse collar before, right? So yes, it adds more incentive for offensive players to, you know, maybe act a little bit. And that's the other thing too, like, well, as far as the hip drop, I don't know how an offensive player can really like act that. But you know, yeah, I'm sure as we see more rules, be approved that favor offense. Yeah, there's definitely more room for, acting and flopping and things like that.
Gonna be the new soccer. Watch out. All
Yeah.
right. So yeah. yeah, nothing else for me, nothing else for you this week. We will be back next week. You guys find out Steph's schedule. She's a busy woman. I'll be back with TL sometime. Then us too. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, same place, 3 Pacific time. Shout out to you, chat, for being amazing. You guys are the best. Please, once again, make sure that you guys are subscribed to both channels. If you guys are in my chat and not subscribed to Steph's channel, go to that description box of the video. The link's right there for you. Click it, go subscribe, and vice versa. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, everybody have a safe rest of your week, a safe and wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys next week, faithful. We're out of here.
Peace.